Alright, hi there. This is Steven with Karma Astrology. I'm coming to you live from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Today is May 10th, 2021. It is 12:30 p.m. here in Santa Fe, Denver time zone. I'm coming to you to doing this daily moon forecast, nakshatra forecast. This is Vedic Astrology, so it's based on the ancient Vedic culture of the Indus River Valley civilization, which was kind of brought into the whole culture of in India and in Pakistan and Bangladesh through, how they used to be India, basically, similar cultures, and the Hindu civilization, basically, or the Hindu culture. So this is a very special type of astrology that's been around for a very long period of time, in which the ancient rishis, or the wise people, used to look up at the sky and see the stars. They split the constellations, or the stars, the sky, into 27 different sections, 13 degrees and 20 minutes, 28 sections in certain periods of time. But we today use the 27 sign zodiac overlaid on top of the 12 sign Mesopotamian or Babylonian or Sumerian zodiac that is used in the West that we normally refer to. So the zodiac is actually the sidereal zodiac, or the star-oriented zodiac, as opposed to the seasonal zodiac, or the tropical zodiac that we typically use in the West. So the signs might be a little different, but the nakshatras are all the same. And you can see today up here that MO is the moon. MO, and the SU is the sun. So the moon is in Aries. It's getting closer and closer to the sun by the day. The moon and sun are our two most close planets to who we are. They're our key identification factors, you could say. The moon being more of our psychological identification through our feelings, our emotions, just like the general state of psychology that we're in, and where we're sensitive to and where we wish to kind of connect with other people. And then the sun, on the other hand, shows our spirit, our kind of core identity, our more ethereal identity, as it connects us to our spirit and to the cosmic consciousness that unites all of us in our own unique way, our own unique kind of jigsaw puzzle piece in the whole puzzle of the universe. So that being said, you can see the moon is up here in Aries, the sun is up here in Aries. We're about to have the new moon tomorrow, but today, for now, we have the moon in Bharani. That's the BHA after the moon at 1506. And so when the moon comes into Aries, just in general, it makes us more fired up, because Aries is this cardinal, fiery, masculine sign. And cardinal energy is about starting something new. Masculine energy is about being creative. And I guess fire in general is about being passionate and having clear delineation in our thoughts and our ideas and our beliefs. And Mars is about protecting, defending, or standing up for those thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. So it makes us, when the moon comes into here, we get more sensitized to those ideas, and therefore we feel much more passionate. We feel a little more Martian and argumentative, more connected to kind of protecting and defending and standing up for what we believe in, standing up for people that are downtrodden, standing up for ourselves and our ego if we are kind of feeling downtrodden ourselves or pressured in some sort of way by others. But Aries in general is also about kind of this idea of conquest and protecting ourselves through taking action, through being very active. So it can even be this kind of imaginary threat in a way, that other people are going to take over us or have power over us unless we have power over them and we take them over, or conquest. And in this regard, sorry about my dog, but she's a little finicky. But in this regard, the moon on a day like today, or the 2.5 days in which the moon moves through each sign, and this is the middle of Aries, the smack dab in the middle, at 15 degrees out of 30, we can see that we're feeling this kind of fire, we're feeling this defensiveness. We might feel the kind of impetus to protect or defend or to fight for what we, for our rights, and to maybe aggress on others a little bit. So it's good to remember not to be aggressive, but it's good to always be able to defend yourself practically and reasonably so. because, that's our right. And then when we get down into it, we have the moon in Bharani Nakshatra. I might actually need to go for 1 second to let me log in. Hold on 1 second. I'll let you look at the beautiful surroundings. All right. Thanks for that. Your patience there. And I hope you enjoyed the view. It is pretty incredible out here in Santa Fe. Cannot complain about the beautiful junipers and all of the nice weather we're getting this time of year. A little wagon wheel over there, some columbine in the plants. We get some hummingbirds coming around here and some nice wind chimes. So sitting pretty for now out here. So yeah, back to the forecast. The moon is in Bharani Nakshatra. Now, Bharani Nakshatra, as all the nakshatras have, has its own deity, or its own kind of tutelary archetypal energy that we deal with, and this kind of persona that gets embodied into the qualities of the nakshatra that people noticed over time. And they each have their own symbol too. They have a few more things as well, but I like to talk about those because I feel like it gives us a really good idea of what it's all about. So the deity for Bharani is Yama. Now Yama is kind of like the Yama is the figure that we see after we die, and we go kind of like the Saint Peter type of figure in Christianity in a way. Also maybe on the hate to say it, but the Luciferian type of figure, maybe without so much of the negative connotations or context about being associated with that character. But Yama is about kind of this being that we come into contact with after we die, and they kind of evaluate our life, or show us kind of the evaluation of how we've acted, whether we've been moral or not, whether we've done righteous things or not so righteous things, and in general just all the different types of ways that we act. Karma, as you can see down here, my whole business name is Karma Astrology. So karma knows many forms, and everything from on all levels, from our thoughts to our actions to the things that happen to our body, the things that we kind of go through in our lives, and the impressions that they make on our spirit. And so all of those impressions kind of get summed up at the end of our life and allow us to kind of go into the next life or into the afterlife, depending on, and wherever we go is based on the whole collection of those karmic implications and actions. And Yama's the kind of guy to dole out, the whole, I guess, the tickets to the next phase, the next place we go. So Yama, this asterism in the sky used to be the last of the nakshatras in the Atharva Veda, but that's one of the ancient texts, and they had a series of Vedas over time that would change. But anyways, Yama is basically this kind of it relates to the sense of judgment and the kind of bearing the fruit of our actions. And just in general, Bharani means the bearer. That's what its name means. And that shows this kind of the karmic implications of our actions on a day like today. As the moon goes through this part of the sky, are heightened. We might receive like that instantaneous karma that you get when you're in higher states of consciousness. The karma kind of comes back to you a lot more quickly. Or if you're around a very karmically neutral person, or very self-realized type of person, or people around you, then you can see oftentimes karma works a little quicker, because the universe and the ways that people are acting are much more in harmony with natural law and kind of the natural flow in which we all are trying to kind of neutralize in a way. We go through these periods of, in our lives where we're kind of committing deeds, for better or worse, and we don't really get the implications of our deeds that we commit, and until like a certain time later it has to kind of work its way, that whole butterfly effect thing, where like every single little action that we do has implications that kind of spread out and ripple across the entire universe. And today it kind of comes back to us a lot faster than it would necessarily, or that we notice necessarily on a regular basis or on a regular day. So keep that in mind. Everything that you do today will be especially more intensified when it comes to the karmic implications of your actions. And that has to do with yama. Now, yama, if anyone out there practices yoga, you'll know that there's the yamas and the niyamas, and yama actually means restraint or restriction, because, just in general, that's what it means. And these in yoga, these are kind of the things that we're supposed to kind of steer away from, or kind of avoid doing, that in order to not develop any sort of negative karma, or to go against the kind of natural harmony or the laws of the universe in a way, so that we don't have to pay this kind of negative consequences. So it's good to be reserved or kind of restricted and have a sense of self-control on a day like today, especially when we're feeling this Aries energy and this desire to really take this impulsive type of action, this fiery, impulsive Martian action. So it's a good time to remember, the non-aggression principle and the self-defense principle. We don't want to be aggressing on other people. We don't want to be kind of restricting someone else's ability to have self-expression and to be free and a sovereign individual or sovereign being, no matter what species they are. And just as we don't want that to happen to us, it's kind of like the golden rule. It makes sense. You don't want someone to treat you the way, or you want to treat others the way that you want to be treated, essentially. And that means that, but at the same time, we still need to kind of protect ourselves and learn how to defend ourselves from difficulties in life and situations in which we're kind of being attacked or persecuted or something like that. So it's good that we hone our mind, hone our muscles, and we're strong and we're prepared in case we ever do need to defend ourselves. But at the same time, we don't use all of that kind of strength in our mind, strength in our muscles, all of those just skills that we've developed in kind of, verbal sparring or physical sparring. We don't really oftentimes ever need to use those unless we are physically under duress or attack, or mentally or psychologically, and in which case we can use them to defend ourselves. So kind of laboring the point, but that's a really big theme of today. You might want to think about that if you're feeling oppressed by anybody. You have a right to defend yourself, but you don't really have a right to aggress on anybody in a way that limits their individuality. So I like to always show the point in the sky. I know that was a little intense, but this is a pretty intense day, a pretty intense nakshatra. So maybe to lighten it up, I'll show you what it looks like in the sky to give you an idea of just like what section of the sky it's in. And unfortunately, it's so close to the sun, it's a little hard to see at this time of the month, or at least this time of the year. It's hard to see the moon in Bharani, as the sun is basically in that section of the sky. I'm going to cancel my little video over here and show you this guy. Don't mind the text. Okie dokie. So, let's see the moon. And you can see the moon is up here. And it's getting very close to the sun. And Bharani is actually the end of Aries, so it's this tail over here of Aries. And there's actually 3 faint stars. It's a little hard to see. But in this section of the sky, you can't see it on this map, and it's very hard to see at night even. It's hard to see Aries as a constellation, but Taurus is right next to it, so you can see that there's the sun right here, and so the moon is barely visible. It's barely even a crescent right now as it approaches the sun tonight, tomorrow morning, wherever you are in the world, for that new moon, in which I will have a special forecast for that. But you can see it's kind of passed out of this whole actual constellation of Pisces. It's kind of moving parallel to Aries, and there we go. That's kind of your little visual, and then they're eventually both moving into Taurus. All these planets move along the orange line here, and the planets including the sun and the moon, and that's the plane in which all of the planets and the sun and the moon orbit around the Earth from our perspective, as it magically, or not so magically, you can see it pretty scientifically, that they would all kind of level out over in many, I guess, hundreds of millions, billions of years to get to this point in which all the planets basically rotate around the sun in a plane, which is really cool. And that's why we have the zodiac in the first place, just as a little side note, because that we are able to, our ancients, all our ancestors were able to look up in the sky and see these constellations, and how the planets and the wandering stars, as they called them, the sun, the moon, and the planets were called wandering stars. That's where the word planet comes from, as they go through the zodiac. And so we, the way I look at astrology is that the stars and the area around the stars and above and below, each section of the sky that's kind of broken down into either 12 segments of 30 degrees each, or 27 segments in Vedic astrology of 13 degrees and 20 minutes each. We look at those segments as having their own little personality or energy that kind of comes through gets like transmuted, as if like through a lens, as the planets or the moon and the sun move in front of the stars from our perspective here on Earth. And we can feel that energy in the way that, the parts of our body, and in particular in Vedic astrology, we talk about how different chakras align with each of the different planets. So that's how it gets kind of transmuted or fused into our consciousness through our different energetic centers, and that kind of turns into thoughts, it turns into feelings, it turns into events, in our life. And that's how that my whole perspective, or the general perspective on astrology. Just as a little side note, no big deal. Getting back to Bharani, though, we have the symbol of Bharani is actually a downward-facing triangle, or the female reproductive organs, the vulva, you could say as well. So it shows this, since Bharani is also called the bearer, it shows this ability to bear, like the female reproductive organs can, a life form or some sort of responsibility in our lives that we need to take ownership of and bear the responsibility of. So today things could be coming up in your life that responsibilities, it's kind of a reality check day where maybe if you've been pushing off your responsibilities or ignoring certain aspects of your life that you need to pay attention to, they're kind of showing up, and those karmic implications are kind of coming back to you today and asking you to address them, to take action on them in a reasonable way. And you can kind of see that in this downward facing triangle, or the female reproductive organs that allow us to bear the fruits, quite literally, of our actions, which would, in some cases, be sex. If we have unprotected sex, then chances are we're probably going to have children. And that's a huge responsibility that we all need to consider, no matter what kind of a sex or what kind of thing we're kind of procreating or creating. And then in terms of, let's just see some other things for my notes. So it has to do with bearing things, and also with having a sense of forbearance for others. So like to withhold judgment, or to kind of, it's this whole judgment and consequences of actions are the big themes of today and Bharani in general. So anytime that we really want to hopefully be tolerant of other people and their decisions, despite the fact that we wouldn't necessarily make those same decisions, especially in those cases. We need to be tolerant and accepting and open-hearted to other people's choices, and to bear the fruit of other people's actions, and at the same time to allow them to be. So we need to have this sense of forbearance for other people, even if we're feeling a little more judgmental than normal, and even if we are getting judged ourselves. It's a nice way to kind of transmute that karma rather than to transmit any sort of lack of forbearance and that we feel from other people. There's a sense of kind of strong energy and explosiveness with the moon being in Aries, so it is kind of necessary for us to keep that under control and to exercise restraint and caution. It's good not to get too jealous on a day like today, so catch that if you find yourself kind of falling into that trap. It's a nice way to work out any sort of jealous tendencies on a day like today. There might be a sense of struggle in general, as you would imagine, but there's also a sense of sacrifice that, anytime, if we have children, like that kind of vulva or the female reproductive organs represent, it shows that we need to make some sort of sacrifice in order to give our time and energy and love and affection and all the things that we need to do in order to kind of nurture and cherish another life form. And whether that be our pets, our plants, our children, our job, our relationships, our friendships, it can take place in any aspect of your life. And if you want more information about how it affects you in particular, or how any of these transits affect you in particular, I do offer personalized Vedic astrology readings where you can get to know what areas of your life these energies influence, and where planets lie in your chart in particular, so that you know like what kind of energy you're dealing with and what kind of karma you came into this life to work out. So it's we all have all of these planets and all of these signs in each of us, but in different kind of levels, or we have a certain propensity towards certain energies or towards other energies based on where the stars and the planets were arranged when we were born at the exact moment. And it's kind of the beauty of astrology, is to really know yourself and to know when those karmas get activated also. So there's a lot of extra information and tons of value that you can get out of a reading, just letting you know if you're ever interested. Otherwise, these daily forecasts are really useful just to see how to ride the wave of each day and as it comes and goes. That's my little spiel, and I might as well say, please leave a thumbs up button if you're liking this video. Subscribe if you want to see these on a daily basis to get some value out of it, and really explore the process of how the day unfolds and how these energies unfold for you. And you can kind of listen to the video in the morning or whenever the video is active, and then just kind of see how the day maybe aligns or doesn't align for you in particular, because everyone will be more sensitive or less sensitive to each of these energies based on planets in your chart. So yeah, that being said, this can make us more sexually active because of that female reproductive organ aspect. It requires a lot of discipline. It can lead to great success, though, through trials and tribulations. We might have issues with our mom or maternal figures on a day like today, potentially. This can lead to, there's definitely this kind of pioneering and explorative attitude to Aries energy in general. So it could be a time for you to start something new. On a day like today, it's definitely a time when we're more subject to being judgmental or morally oriented. So just be careful. There's times to judge and discern and clearly delineate, what's right from wrong and how we want to act, but maybe without being judgmental of other people and their ability to figure it out on their own, because we're all in a different phase of life and a different we have different karmas, and we need to respect each other and our ability to work out our karmas on our own. And that means that it's a great day to be a good shining star role model for other people, especially for those that we might be feeling prone to judging. So if if there's someone in your life that you wish would act differently, maybe act in that regard, and they will see you acting that way and hopefully change their behavior in that way. So in terms of more of the shadow side, or the weaknesses of this day in general, people might have more of a tendency to act hedonistic in sexual activities rather than necessarily spiritual. There's more of this like addictive quality to sex that we need to watch out for, and that goes for food. This kind of voracious appetite that we can eat too much if we're not careful. If we're too nervous, we tend to eat a little bit more to feel good and to feel comfortable. And that also kind of ties into, as you can see up here, you can see all this Taurus energy, especially with Rahu there, will kind of give us more of an appetite in general, because Taurus is about what feels good. So in general, for the next month, and as the sun kind of moves into Taurus and the moon moves into Taurus over the next couple of days, we'll see that we get maybe a little hungrier, and we're focused more on beauty and pleasure and things like gardening or building things that I kind of call Taurus the sign of the craftsman, because it allows us to create things that are rooted in spreading joy and beauty. And that can be anything from really great meals, learning how to cook a new thing, and can be more fun and enticing than usual, or going out to a nice restaurant, or working hard on your garden, or working in your relationships, anything that you're really building towards, and you can kind of actively participate in, as Taurus is an earth sign, so it kind of brings that earthiness into today. And with Bharani, we might have a tendency to be a little more stressed, or judged, and we might eat a little bit, if those of us who have a tendency to to overeat a bit. I have some Taurus energy in my moons there, but yeah, and that voracious appetite can really come out on a day like today. So it's something to be very cognizant of, and to pay attention to how our body feels and to respect that. We can be more restless and irritable on a day like today, more judgmental, as I was saying, have a little more pride or arrogance, and think that we're kind of holier than thou or better than other people. And that's when we really need to check our egos and check our pride, because, like I said, everyone has their own unique gifts. Everyone has their own unique struggles, and we are only ourselves. We'll never really be able to put ourselves in someone else's shoes as much as we really should try to. So if we can just kind of understand and respect other people and be a shining star example, like I was saying, that would be great. Today can lend itself more towards hypochondria, or just any sort of we can really spiral in this nakshatra if we are not watching ourselves. So it's a good time to watch your thoughts and to pay attention to your feelings, and not get too negative or judgmental on yourself. Allow yourself time to grow and learn. Maybe not get too wrapped up in the mental world as well, and the egoic world, and focus more on our kind of what our intuition is guiding us into and leading us to do, and focus more on using this energy to be restrained, to be reserved, and to allow that just that sense of I want to say commitment, but it's more about not getting overindulgent, and just being, like I said, restrained and reserved, in order to not get too out of control and create too much karma or energy or feelings that we don't want to receive. It's a good not to be too gossipy or anything like that, to be disciplined and to have that kind of self-control, and focus on more of our spiritual activities and our spiritual practices. And Mars in general, since it rules Aries, is associated with tapas, and tapas is this quality of the purifying fire. There's a lot of this fire purification going on in the zodiac too, with the Taurus stuff. But, in terms of Kritika energy, I'll talk about that tomorrow when the new moon's in Kritika. So we have this kind of fiery purification going on right now, and it's good to be able to focus on ways in which we are safely kind of holding ourselves responsible, taking things seriously, not too seriously, of course, but taking kind of our spiritual progress seriously, our any of our actions that we take, we don't want to get too out of control in general on a day like today. And tapas is this activity like when you're in a fiery workout and you're pushing yourself pretty hard, not to the point of injury or hurting yourself at all, like no pain, no gain. It's more like no pressure, no gain, no restraint, no restriction, no fire, no gain, as opposed to kind of pushing yourself too far. We don't want to go too far and, be this kind of like an ascetic that, one of those people that holds their arm over their head, if you've ever heard of those types of people, just to prove that they, are connected to God, they kind of calcify all of their tendons and everything in the process, and they can never lower their arm again, just to remind them that God exists. I think there's other ways to be more restrained that are more intelligent. Well, who am I to say what is intelligent or not for them, of course, right? But there's definitely ways that we want to look for today in order to kind of push ourselves and make ourselves stronger and tougher, because we can only get stronger when we kind of bust through some muscle cells in order to help them kind of grow again, and they grow back bigger and stronger. And that in that way, we get mentally tougher when we put ourselves in difficult situations, but not too difficult situations that we're capable of kind of making commitments to and being pressured into making a positive change in our lives that might be difficult. It's a big theme of today with the moon and Bharani, and I think I'm laboring the point, so I'm going to leave it there. And I hope you have a fantastic day otherwise. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Give me a thumbs up and a like if you enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see these on a daily basis. And leave a comment below if you have any questions, comments for me. Anything that you want to express, let me know if you have a planet in Bharani or something in Aries, or what you're looking forward to about the new moon. I'd love to hear about it and interact a little bit more with y'all, and kind of get this community going, develop it a little bit. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, peace and love. Have a great day, and I will catch you tomorrow. Take care.